Hey you witches, how you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Taya and we are back with another video, and today I want to have a little chat about witchcraft inspiration and what can you do to sort of get inspired in your witchcraft practice. There's lots of reasons why you might be looking for inspiration. Maybe you're just not feeling it. Right? You're just like, I'm just not feeling witchy lately and I need a little something to get me back in the mood. Maybe you're doing fine, but you want to take it to the next level, right? It's like, I feel like I need to add a little oomph. Maybe you've had a break and you're looking to get back into your witchcraft, but again, right? It's just, you're not feeling it. Or maybe everything's fine and you just want to dig a little deeper, right? Add a little extra spice into your practice. So what do you do? Well, we're going to look at 10 ways to inspire your witchcraft practice. Now, before we get into it, I do have to send a little shout out to Jody, Michelle, Rebecca, Rhonda, and Tasha, who are part of the Edmonton Traditional Witchcrafters Guild. And at our coffee meetup for May, our topic was, how do you find inspiration in your witchcraft practice? And they sort of helped me come up with this list of ways to be inspired in your practice. So before I get into the 10 things, something else that has come up, I don't know if it's a thing or what it is, but my big thing, and somebody suggested this to me once, and I was like, oh, brilliant, is keep a list. So, you're watching a video or you're reading a book and they mention something and you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So the other day I was watching, it was just a planner video, but she's kind of witchy and she was talking about doing a decan walk. And I'm like, what? Kind of looked it up. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Now, I don't have time to get into a whole decan walk, thing right now. Add it to the list. And then in a few months when I'm like, oh, I need something, I've got a list and I'm like, oh yeah, decan walk, I could do that. Right? Just whatever sort of peaks in your brain, because you won't remember. I'm not going to remember that 6 months from now. So keep a list of things that looked interesting. Maybe you're not actually going to do them, but things that you could look into when you're looking for a little bit of inspiration, or what's your next project going to be. Keep a list. All right. So 10 ways. Number 1. Learn and do something new. So learn a new divination method, a spellcrafting technique, and then do the thing. Don't just read a book on candle magic. Then incorporate candle magic into your practice. Do the thing, right? Inspiration comes not just from learning stuff, but from doing stuff. So learn and do something new. And again, that's where that list would come in really handy, right? Number 2, learn about something witchcraft adjacent and then figure out how to incorporate it into your witchcraft practice. So, a big one for me is learn about your bioregion. Learn about the flora and the fauna that grow and thrive in the same environment as you. Learn about your local history. Maybe it's a new craft. You could learn weaving or candle making, right? Which again, aren't necessarily witchy. They're just handicrafts, but incorporate them into your witchcraft practice. Do something with them then that brings them into the realm of witchcraft. Number 3, and this is one of my favorites, read a fictional story. So something like the Discovery of Witchcraft trilogy, or Slewfoot, or The Mists of Avalon. Books that just, you're like, oh, I want to be part of that world. I want to be part of what they have going on. I know when I read the Discovery of Witchcraft trilogy, there's a lot about weaving when she's learning to work her magic, and it's all about weaving these cords. And I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do this. So even though it's not real witchcraft, you can take a lot of inspiration from fictional stories. Number 4, so go back to your roots. So look at your witchcraft practice over the months, over the years, right? What have you stopped doing? Maybe there was something you used to do that you're like, oh, I should go back to doing that. I used to keep a gratitude journal. Every single day I would write down one word, just one word of something that I was grateful for. And you know what? I've totally stopped doing it, but I did get a lot out of it. So maybe I want to go back to doing that. Or what have you maybe started doing that isn't feeling like you're getting a lot out of it? Like maybe you've started gratitude journaling and it feels like a chore and you dread having to sit down every night and come up with one word of something that you were grateful for. You know what? Scrap it. And even just look at, like, where have you come from? Where were you when you started your practice versus where are you now? How have your ideas changed and evolved over all of these months or years? That can be a huge inspiration, just looking at, like, oh my gosh, like, look how much I've changed. Look how much I've learned and I've developed and I've grown. So sometimes just going back to your roots can really sort of help get you inspired. Number 5, this is another one of mine that I really like, is read a coffee table book. You know those ones, and they have like glossy snapshots on what witchcraft can be. One of my favorites is the Tashin Esoteric Library. They have a volume on witchcraft. Excellent. Like, it's got beautiful glossy photos, little write-ups. Like, it's not like you have to read the whole book cover to cover. You can just sort of flip, find a photo that you love, and then read the little bit that goes with it. But it talks about witchcraft and the history of witchcraft. And I find sometimes just looking through that, again, it makes me feel inspired. It makes me feel like I want to be part of that, right? Number 6, spend time outdoors. So spend time connecting with the elements or connecting with your bioregion. Listen to the rhythms of the world around you. What's blooming and blossoming? What's withering and falling away? Listen to the birds. Listen to the wind. Just, again, immerse yourself in what's going on in the environment around you. And yeah, sometimes that means you can hear the far off hum of the highway. But that's part of the bioregion that you live in too, right? And work on incorporating all of those things into this sense of this witchcraft world that you're living in. Number 7, watch YouTube videos. I honestly think YouTube videos probably speak to you because you're here watching a YouTube video, but maybe it's other things. It's TikTok or Pinterest or Instagram. Whatever your jam is, right? Hook up with it. Maybe watch some old favorites, find some new channels. Maybe you're into tarot or a specific divination technique, right? Look up videos on that. See if you can find new things to do with those techniques. Maybe there's a specific spirit or deity that you're wanting to work with. Again, put that in the search engine. Or maybe just look up general stuff like traditional witchcraft, magic, occult. See what comes up that might be interesting to you. You never know. Number 8 is get creative. So do something you've been putting off. Maybe you have that list of projects that you've been meaning to make. I know for me, I've been meaning to make a self poppet, something I learned about from Kellyanne Maddox. And again, I put that on my list of things that maybe one day I should do. And I was feeling a little like I need to do something, so I made the poppet. Another big one is I have a list or a file sort of with a lot of information in it that needs to go into my black book or book of shadows, right? And it's really easy to just pull out and create a new page and just to do something creative, to sort of immerse myself in that for an hour or so and just create this new sort of page of knowledge that I can add to my book. Again, get a little bit creative, right? Get your fingers dirty, get your creative juices flowing. Number 9, take a workshop or a class, right? On forging, on sigils, on candle magic, on runes, like whatever. Again, whatever interests you. Find somebody who's offering something. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can find like online workshops for like, $20, $25 if you want. You just got to get out there and look for them, but take some classes on something that interests you. And finally, number 10, and I think this is probably like this was a huge aha for me when somebody suggested this, was organize. get organized, take inventory of what you've actually got on hand. I'm a huge witchcraft hoarder. And sit back and take a look at your space and how is everything sort of laid out? Could it be better? What supplies do you have? I find often when I start doing this and I move that box and behind it has fallen that bag that has the herbs in it for that project I was gonna do and then totally forgot about because again, I bought the herbs and then they kind of got lost in the mess. So you never know what you're gonna find when you kind of clean up and get organized. And again, maybe it's like, wow, I have a lot of red candles. Maybe I should do something with those red candles. Right, you can find some inspiration in that. So get organized, take inventory of what you have and sort of sort through it all and figure out what you're doing with all of it. Because again, it's not helping further your witchcraft practice if it's just sitting in a box on a shelf somewhere. So those are 10 ideas to get some inspiration to move forward in your witchcraft practice. And again, I think my biggest one is just keep that list. So when you are feeling a little stuck or like you need a little something to spice it up, you've got a list to go back to of ideas where you're like, oh, that's right. I wanted to learn about a decan walk. I wanted to learn about profections, astrological profections, the profection year. Right? I'm just big into astrology right now, astrology and tarot. Right? Maybe it's just sigils or a special sigil technique, or maybe it's making servitors, or maybe it's candle magic, whatever it is, write it on the list so that when you're stuck, you've got something to go back to, that master list where you're like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So what do you do? I'd love to know what you do in your practice to sort of stay inspired, get out of a rough spot. Share in the comments below. Let us know what you do. I'd love to have a conversation. And otherwise, yeah, that's our video for today. And we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, you guys.